Good morning and welcome to Maundy Thursday. This isn't a common term anymore, but many of our more liturgical brothers and sisters still recognize it. The name comes from the Latin phrase mandatum novum do vobis, which is the biblical imperative, a new command I give you. Jesus says these words in the Gospel of John shortly after he has washed his disciples' feet. After drying his hands, he asks his followers, "Do you understand what I've done for you?" The question is meant as a challenge, as kind of a test to see whether or not the concept of servanthood is taking root in their hearts. Now, I imagine that, you look around the room and they all nodded their head up and down. Yes, yeah, we understand. A few verses later, Jesus says these words to introduce a new commandment in the context of this attitude of service. He says, "Love one another just as I have loved you." This agape would become their measure for success from that moment on. In the very next verse, Jesus speaks directly to Simon Peter, who's asked him where he's going. When Jesus responds, "I'm going somewhere you can't follow me," Simon Peter emphatically responds, "Hey man, I'll follow you anywhere." To put an exclamation point on that statement, Peter follows it up by saying, "I will lay down my life for you." Now I picture Jesus looking Peter straight in the eyes as he tells him the reality that he's about to experience, that rather than laying down his life, Peter would instead deny him. This must have been crushing for Peter, who likely thought of himself as a faithful disciple, who saw himself as a member of the inner circle, who would never, ever waver in his faith. The next word we read in John's Gospel are prescient. "Let not your hearts be troubled." Don't be afraid, Peter. Be strong and courageous, Peter. No matter what comes your way in the next couple of days, Peter, stand strong. In John Mark's Gospel, he records the same interaction between Jesus and Simon Peter. Mark arranges this challenge to Peter's faith to put it right after the institution of the Lord's Supper at the Passover dinner. This puts the prophetic word of denial on Thursday of that week. In Mark's Gospel, the application of Jesus' words then expand to everyone. Peter speaks up in the group context in a similar way, saying, "Even though they all fall away," watch that, Peter stands up, points at everybody else and says, "Even though they all fall away, I will not." When Jesus provides him with the details of his imminent denial, Peter gets even more puffed up and proclaims that even if he is to die with Jesus, he would never deny his friend and his master. And of course, the chorus of disciples in the background all say the same thing. Peter is such a great study for us as we consider our own discipleship this week. He believes himself to be a good disciple of Jesus. He sees himself as a leader within the band of the rest of the disciples. He has proclaimed his belief in Jesus as Messiah. And shortly thereafter, when Jesus tells Peter of the things that are going to come to pass in this final week of his life, Peter demonstrates that his discipleship is really still way over here in the developing stages. He tells Jesus that he won't let anybody harm a hair on his head. Jesus follows this statement of bravado with the true call to discipleship. "Take up your cross and follow me." As we know, Peter would give in to his fear. The proud, chest-beating disciple would fall at his teacher's most basic command, "Do not be afraid." Peter was, like most of the other disciples, very afraid, disappointingly afraid. When they see Jesus arrested and tried and ultimately crucified, the commitment that they believe they have in their heart evaporates like the fog, Lovingly, Jesus will restore Peter, forgiving him 3 times in alignment with his triple denial. Peter will find hope again. Hope is a great meditation for us. Is our hope commensurate with the depth of our discipleship? What things do we fear? What's the weight of the cross on our shoulder? This isn't a theological test. This reflection is not an examination of our orthodoxy. This is ultimately a test of our love. Do I love Jesus? Do I trust him and his imperative not to fear out of that love? Do I demonstrate my love for Jesus by shouldering my cross, by trusting without question those things that he says are true, that he will never leave me nor forsake me, that his Spirit indwells me and empowers me? Do I believe these things here? As the cross comes closer and we think on our commitment to Jesus, we learn to love him more by devoting ourselves, by wholeheartedly giving ourselves to the one who gave himself for us. Without fear of rejection or retribution, I can love my brothers and sisters, and I can love my neighbors to that same depth. On Sunday mornings at 10, Hope Community Church gets together and celebrates the love of Jesus. If you don't have a church family, we would be overjoyed to share that love with you. We'll celebrate Easter this Sunday at 10 a.m., and we would be honored to have you join us. Our church meets at 25 North 4th Street East in Paul.